Hey guys, today we're going to take you through a Pergola S2 installation from start to finish. We're going to go step by step through the manual. Before we start, you want to make sure you have all the boxes you need, all the different components, and also all the tools you'll need to complete the installation, and we'll go through that now. What you're going to need for the installation in terms of tools. You'll need a mallet, a level, some pliers, a caulking gun, just a normal Allen wrench set, a drill, tape measure. We recommend having 2 ladders. You'll want a knife, and then just if you have a normal toolbox, that's always helpful as well. You'll need just a normal set of bits. You're gonna need to purchase a few things. One is gonna be waterproof sealant or caulk. You'll also need to purchase the installation bolts that you'll need to actually mount the pergola to whatever surface it is that you're putting it on. So if it's a patio, concrete pad, footers, a deck, wall mounted, whatever it is, you're gonna need to purchase that hardware. There will be a small cardboard box with all of the components in terms of hardware, most of the hardware that you'll need for the install. So that'll be in one of the beam boxes. So the box marked with a B, you'll want to take that and open it, lay all those pieces out. All right, in here, you'll have this little note, and it will have the QR code for you to scan for the Pergolux app, or you can go to pergolux.app, get the install instructions. So what you'll have in here, you have a cloth just for wiping things down, a pair of gloves, and a lubricant for some of the different screws as you're putting it together. Everything is labeled with these letters. Here are all the pieces that come in that component box. Make sure you have everything here before you start your installation. All right, you're gonna get 2 strapping young lads, and you're gonna have them start opening the boxes. Start with your beams and your columns, marked B and C. And then just a few other tips and tricks from the manual. The beam that has the motor on it, that's gonna be, you can call your back beam. And when you are facing the pergola with that motor on the back side, then all of your louvers are gonna open left to right.
Again, there's an included lubricant to make it easier for the screws to connect the beams together and the columns to the base plates.
In your column box, you're gonna have 2 columns. You're gonna have the corner pieces that snap onto the outside, and you're gonna have your base plates and the hardware that come with that. All right, you're gonna have these metal blanking strips in your columns and in your beams. So you would take these out if you are gonna be putting a screen on this side, or if you have a glass wall that is going to be inserted here. They should slide out pretty easily or just pop right out. All right, you're gonna start by putting your base plate onto the column. So you're gonna find all of that hardware together. You're gonna use a T20 bit for this. All right, you're gonna take out the screws, your base plates. So you'll have 2 of those. And you'll see there's a countersink side. That's obviously the side where you're gonna be screwing into. So on the base plate, you're gonna have the holes with the countersink. That's where you're gonna be screwing the base plate into the column. The outer 3 holes is for the hardware that you're gonna use to mount the pergola to whatever surface you're installing on. These 2 holes, one is for water drainage and one is for electrical if you ever wanted to hardwire. You're gonna know how to place the base plate on the column. You line it up with the flat edge and screw it in that way. So nice and easy. And then remember, you're gonna do that for all 4 columns. All right, your next step you're gonna do is these little brackets and the screws. They're gonna go on the top of the columns. They're gonna be in the J bag. You're gonna need 8 of them, 2 per column, plus you have the longer screws that you'll be using. Take the screw, put it through on the countersink side. Your next step is to attach your columns to your beams. You're gonna use the E bag of screws, which you're gonna find in this bag labeled A. Your side beam has an access panel. That's where your control box is going to sit. Take that out before you start your install. All right, you can set up your pergola however you want in terms of beams and columns, but the way that we're gonna do it is put the front beam on the 2 columns first. The way you know it's the front beam is it has the logo on it, and it will also, on the other side, it will have these louver clips and slots here. That's how you know it's the front beam. So we're gonna attach that first to 2 columns. Then we're gonna attach a side beam to the 3rd column. The way you know is it has the access panel. That's the side beam. All right, you're gonna lift the front beam with the 2 columns up. Good to have your ladder set up, drill ready, and screws ready to go in. You're gonna have someone climb up and hold that there. And then you're going to Bring the other side beam with the column attached up as well and attach it. And then you're going to attach your back beam. That's where it has the motor arm. You're going to attach that last.
Next, you're going to use the bolts from the J-bag to secure beams to column brackets. Use a wrench to tighten. We recommend partially tightening all the bolts, then going back and tightening all the way. Use the plastic corner from the M-bag, which will connect the gutters at the corners. Hook this into place using the groove on the beam. Now install all the gutters by hooking them onto the groove of each beam.
All right, next you're gonna take the tape, comes in its own little bag. You're gonna be putting it on either side of the corner pieces to seal it off. Then you're gonna be taking the pieces from the L bag and the screws that are in the M bag with the other corner pieces, installing these, screwing these in 2 per corner piece, and then you're good on the corners. All right, at this stage, you're going to install your LED lights if you have them.
Use the cover corners and screws from the O bag to secure the LEDs at each corner. Use the silicone sealant to fill the holes at the corner and make sure it is overflowing. If you're going to install LEDs in the future, skip this step.
All right, your manual motor comes separately from the Pergola in its own box. When you open it, you'll have 2 pieces to the hand crank. Those are going to connect together, and then you have the manual motor and the clamp and 3 screws that come with it. You're also going to need the T bag, which is going to have the bolt and the nut that's going to attach motor to louver arm. All right, you want to make sure you have the clamp on the motor first, and then you're going to connect the motor to the louver arm. The bolt goes in from the outside and the nut is going to be on the inside. Once you tighten that, you're going to use an Allen key and a wrench, socket wrench, whatever you have, to really tighten the bolt in. All right, you'll use the larger bolt that came with the clamp set. You're going to put that in first, then you do the other 2 screws on either side. Now is the stage when you're going to install your control box if you have LEDs. There are 2 control boxes. One is PX293, that's for your RGB lights. The other one is PX292, and that is for your warm white lights. These come separately with their own remote and the control box. The control box has 4 main cables. AC load is your heater. AC input is going to connect to your power source. This here is a grounding wire, which you'll connect during the install. On this side, you have your LED cable. You'll notice that there are 4 prongs if it's RGB, 2 prongs if it is warm white, and then you have your motor cable here. This cable is a USB-C cord. It's for future accessories. You don't need to worry about it. And this is the antenna to pick up the remote connection. Under here, you have these 4 buttons. They are LEDs when you turn them on, and you push them to pair the control box with the remote. All right, this is where the cable is going in so that you can connect your control box.
Connect the power cable to the AC input on the control box and connect any accessories to the corresponding cable on the control box. LED for LEDs and AC output for a heater. Make sure to connect the grounding wire by feeding the yellow-green wire through the hole in the beam. Loosen one of the existing screws a little bit, place the end of the grounding wire under the head of the screw, and then tighten again. After the control box is installed, connected, and paired with the corresponding accessories, the access panel cover can be reinstalled. Insert the top into the track on the beam and flip the cover down using force so that it clicks into place. There are 2 styles of louvers. One end louver has a black plastic edge and will be installed first, and the rest are standard louvers without this plastic edge.
All right, you're also gonna need your H bag. This is gonna have the plastic clips. They look like this, and they're actually gonna hold the louver pins in place.
Install from left to right, starting on the side with the control box. The end louver is going to be the first one that you install. The plastic spacer on the motor side of the louver needs to align with the notch in the beam. This is so that it sits flush in the notch and will help to lock the louver in place.
You're going to put the plastic clip on top of the pin, and then you're going to push it down with the pliers.
Make sure that you install the H-clips as you go. Don't wait until the end to install them all at once, as this could create bowing of the beam.
Your last 3 louvers are going to get installed a little bit differently. So on the front beam, those louvers are going to go into the slots normally. However, on the back beam, you're not going to put in the 2 louvers into the notches. You're going to slide those to the side. The last louver is going to go into the notch, and then you bring your other 2 louvers back in and put them in their notches.
Then, rotate the last 3 louvers so that all louvers are in the closed position. The louver lock can be installed in the track with the notches that the louvers sit in and will hold them in place. The holes on both ends should be facing the inside of the pergola, with the longer edge on the bottom. Start on one end and work your way down, pressing into place or using a mallet until the part clicks into place. Assemble the manual motor handle by connecting both halves and securing with the bolts provided. Use the handle to open the motor so that the mechanism connected to the motor is straight up and down or at the highest point. This will make attaching the louvers much easier.
Next up is the fun part, attaching every single louver with a bolt and a nut to the steering rail. So you're going to find bag R. Inside you'll find the bolts, the spacers, and the nuts needed to attach louvers to the steering rail.
The louver guide rail is installed with the overhang facing the outside of the pergola and with the holes on the bottom, with all bolts being inserted from the outside. Attach the guide rail to the motor mechanism using the 3 bolts from bag S. To attach the louvers to the guide rail, use the bolts, nuts, and spacers from bag R. The order from outside to inside is bolt, guide rail, spacer, louver, nut. The spacer goes in between the guide rail and louver, and the nut goes on the inside of the louver. Use an Allen key and a socket wrench to tighten each bolt and nut for every louver.
You're almost there, a few steps left. Next step is to put the corner pieces onto the columns. You'll use a mallet to secure them in place.
Place the cover over the power cable, feeding the cable through the notch at the bottom.
Then your last step, you're going to be putting the corner pieces on the tops of the columns. It's the K bag. You're going to take out these little pieces here and your screws, secure those in place, and you're done. Congratulations, you finished your pergola install. Thanks for joining us on this journey. Now you can sit back, relax under your pergola, and enjoy it for years to come.